Right, PRL high volume intake, cord 2.0. Doing a quick install. Already gone ahead and put the airbox together. And you gotta do this before the install, definitely. Alright, so when you get this, it comes all in pieces. This is one piece. The inside of here is a separate piece. Then you got the filter that's inside. Of course, take it out through there. You gotta attach the filter to the inside piece before you screw these together, or else you won't be able to tie down the filter. So once you tie down the filter to that part inside, hold the filter up, line up the holes, tighten it up. These brackets also come apart. I actually test fitted this yesterday, so I figured these are the best positions for those brackets. Also, if you look carefully at PRL's picture online, this is the position they have their brackets. Okay, removal of your factory intake. First, you're gonna remove this part. I've already gone ahead and loosened up these screws. So you're gonna have to take off up to here. Loosened all of these up. Disconnect your mass airflow sensor. This clip, I've already removed it, but it actually goes here. Just got some needle nose pliers. Pinched it a little bit. Came right out. Pop these two pins off. Pull up. Slide it off. I would say take it off in pieces. That way you don't bend any lines, break anything. Alright, once you remove that top piece, you have to take this out. You can probably start with this. Careful with these clips, they break very easily. The best way is to get a small screwdriver, work it up, like super fragile. There's a couple 10mm bolts here and here to remove. Then the best way to pull this out, once you're ready to pull out, hold from here with one hand, put some pliers around here, something that'll go over the slip, and then pull on the pliers in your hand. There's a grommet that's on there pretty good in here. Use a wrench to remove these two 10mm bolts holding this PVC valve on there. And the next challenge is going to be taking this clamp off. So you can see they're gonna break off the tip to tighten up, so be real careful taking this out. Wouldn't muscle it out right away. Removed it. I did not have to cut that off. What I did, I removed the other pieces first, slid this off, and I very carefully just turned it, working it out very carefully. So you don't want to rip this, so it's one piece. You don't want to rip it in case you have to put it back later. So once it's off, you go ahead and cut this off and then replace the clamp later if you ever put it back. Out. Like I said, you remove two screws. One there, that one there, it's already loose. Then there's a grommet right here. What I did, this pry bar, just jam it in there and very gently and firmly just push out on it. Pop loose. Alright, so again, to remove this, pop that out, two screws. Gotta remove two screws from right here. Remove a screw holding down the ECU here, and one up there. Pull up, pull this to the side. Alright, as far as the screws on the mass airflow sensor, once you remove them, go ahead and put them back on your factory assembly. That way you don't lose them. PRL did provide 2 new screws to use on their mass airflow sensor housing. Okay, again, mass airflow sensor right into the housing. Very gently drop it in. Remember the direction of the arrow, away from the box. If you are inclined to clean this, be very careful. Very, very careful. I would actually suggest don't clean it. I mean, these cars are pretty new. I can't see how it would be so dirty, but they're very sensitive. Be very careful what you use to clean these. Like I said, I suggest you leave it alone. It can't possibly be that dirty. I mean, my car's a 19. Any 18, I would assume would look exactly the same. A little dirt on top isn't gonna hurt anything. You can clean it afterwards. So again, put it on, make sure the holes line up, then put your provided screws. PRL just provided the hose clamps for you. You can see the different sizes, kind of obvious as to where they go. That one, that one. Place them on there. Okay, you gotta reuse these grommets. So the way to get it out, screw just pulls out. Pull out this bottom piece. And then you just slide forward. Difficult to do this with one hand, but yeah. They'll slide out pretty easily. You know, this came out crooked, but see that? Again, just slide it out. Same thing to that one. Once you've placed the grommets on the new airbox, stick the screws on there loosely, or you can leave them off so that you can put the holes on. You're going to start from this side. Of course, you're going to work your way to this side. When you stick this end to there, this is going to be the next thing you put in. This you can wait to the end. You can wait to put in the adapter to the end. So it'll be this end first, then this, then this. Once you get everything lined up the way you want it, then you can tighten up the bolts. Remove your cover. That way you get a little flexibility with this. Leave the screws off. Start on this end. Lift up on this end. You see? And they'll just work them together like that. Of course, you need both hands, but once you get the hose on, carefully push this in. You know, keep in view these. You don't want to kink anything up or break anything. You know, this is still loose, haven't tightened it. This is still loose, haven't tightened it. Just make sure your holes lined up decently. And then put this on. Once you have this on, lined up, the way you like it, the way it looks good, it's not kinking anything, then tighten these last. Then put those on. Okay, again, very important, before you tighten up all these clamps, make sure this fits on without getting in the way, making sure it's not touching, making sure it doesn't touch up here. You don't want a hole getting rubbed into this thing. Make sure your clamps, you know, if this is too far down, it might rub up against that line. You don't want any room for failure. Make sure everything has enough clearance, nothing's rubbing up against each other. Double check everything. Once you got the perfect angles, go ahead and get your screws in. Tighten all the clamps up. Okay, and the reason I say tighten your screws up a lot first before you do the clamps is because if your angle isn't right after you put in your screws, also you could twist it a little bit to tighten up your screws. Once they're tight, you get the right angle, and then tighten up your clamp. And lastly, once you have everything tightened up, everything out of the way, no major kinks, go ahead and feel this. Make sure it's open. If you feel like it's too kinked up, adjust it. Again, make sure you have clearance. You can even test it with the hood, make sure it's not going to hit on top. So you're going to put this on, take this off of your factory housing. Same direction it came off, just put it right on. And then the little scoop should fit on there, no problem. Be very careful when you're putting in this. Make sure you have enough clearance. Make sure it's not hitting. You know, if it's hitting, I would say stop. Put your factory one back on and wait for either some kind of adapter or some kind of fix from PRL, because you don't want to muscle this down. Put that in there, tighten these down, and then this thing breaks on you. These are never cheap. Okay, once you have everything off, back on I should say, double check, try it out. Make sure there's no check engine light. You left that mass airflow sensor off, the check engine light will fire. Doesn't sound much different than the stock. I've heard the K&N short ram, and that thing makes it sound like you got an aftermarket blow-off valve on there. Let's give it a little test run with the new air intake. Got it in sport mode. Do have a stage 2 tune on there. I should say I do hear the turbo spooling up. Not a big blow-off valve sound, but it's okay. No cars, we're good. Here we go. Okay, here we go from a stop. Definitely a difference. Do one more from around right here, 30. Oh yeah. Very nice difference. Very nice. Well, that's it. Hope you guys learned how to do this. Hit me up if you have any questions.